you know, anybody that deals with that kind of situation.
Wins his first point back.
And jogs to the other side to return again. That's classic Jenson. Some things don't change, you know.
Oh.
I talked to Ryan Williams, coach now for Jenson Brooksby. I said, listen, you know, you have a lot of question marks. I'm sure you're looking to answer. What's the biggest thing? And he said the #1 thing is to compete like a dog today. Just make sure everybody knows that he's willing and able to go after it once again here. Excuse me, return getting the job done.
He wasn't aiming to that spot. Taylor did a great job with that ball. That was such an awkward position to play from there, short and up inside the court. Yeah, you go back to what you were saying about, you know, Ryan Williams starting to work with him and talking about him as we see Ryan there and Jenson's physio, PK, Paul Kenny. But that's been the cornerstone of Jenson's game from the first time that he came out and started playing at the pro level, whether it was futures or challengers, and he progressed through those phases so quickly to get to the tour, and he shocked a lot of guys when he first came out on the tour because of his consistency and his competitiveness. He wasn't afraid of anybody when he first came out, and he won a lot of matches just based on tenacity and his competitiveness.
As Fritz gets that opening hold, I think you could say some of the same things about Taylor. I remember those first 2 Northern California challengers that he played back in the States, came out, boom, boom, won a couple of titles, and it was just one of those things. I remember very distinctly a final against Jared Donaldson in Sacramento where he fought off, I believe it was 18 of 19 break points, and you just kind of knew this guy was tough, feisty, and was going to really be able to get himself out of trouble often.
Yeah, and that's one of the main reasons Taylor's where he's at. I think the biggest difference when you know, Taylor's a great competitor, the same thing, but I think the difference you look at between Taylor and Jenson is the way they produce their stroke mechanics. Jenson's always, you know, both sides, forehand and backhand, and we're going to see right here the serve. I'm interested to watch the serve. Serve was the biggest question mark back when he was playing on a regular basis. He just wasn't, second serve especially, he just wasn't very strong with second serve. So Taylor has a tendency to jump on returns. Yeah, there's a little twist already with the abbreviated motion, starting with the racket up.
I feel like Agassi did that for a stretch of time in the early 90s.
There's a few guys. The guys that pop into my head right away are Brad Gilbert and Jay Berger. Both those guys started with the racket up for a while. I think that's a, you know, if I don't know if we can find some, but if you went back and you watched Jenson serve.
Fantastic closeout.
Well played.
15 on.
Yeah, but if you go back and you were to see Jenson play from back when he was first on tour, the mechanics of the serve were not great, and he tended to have a very low elbow, wasn't able to generate a lot of racket head speed and acceleration through the ball, and just kind of put the ball in play and started the point.
Well, he does it there as well. It's 147.
Yeah, and that's extremely slow for a first serve on the men's tour. But what he does is he counters, as we see this now going to this abbreviated motion. I would guess that this is definitely an effort to try and help him keep the elbow up a little bit more.
Led for serve.
What Jenson does unbelievably well is neutralize that first ball, no matter how big the return comes back. Taylor's going to pound returns at him. Jenson's very good at being able to pick up the first ball and neutralize those kind of returns. I would imagine that part of Taylor's game plan is to jump on second serves.
Yeah.
We saw him do it on the very first point.
To put it in numbers, when he last played in 2023, the average first serve speed for Brooksby was 182. Obviously, we've only had a few of them here, but the average at this point is 159. So that's a pretty sizable drop-off.
Yeah, that is. Absolutely. Interesting that he's serving even a little bit slower now at this point. You would have thought that that would have been an area of focus over the course of time that he hasn't been competing.
Let for serve.
It also could be the fact that there were wrist injuries. There's also been an elbow issue that bothered him through this year, this past year, I should say, that kind of delayed a little bit of that trip back to the tour.
Let for serve.
So there might be some physicality issues as well that are making this technique change. Well, that's a very comfortable hold to 1-all. Ryan Williams.
Game on.
Listen, you know it just as well as I do. When he was a player, just all over the place mentally, he is so stoic now as a coach. It's a pretty remarkable transformation.
I think it's good sometimes, you know. I mean, yeah, Ryan was a little bit of a wild man as a player, but it's, you know, you look at, once you get into the coaching game, I think you look at the things that didn't help you produce, and you know, he's probably well aware of those things. Good play by Taylor. But Ryan, clearly one of the better mustaches on tour, and he makes Tommy Paul jealous with his fishing ability. Yeah. If he wasn't out here, he might be on the Bass Pro Fishing Tour.
He's moved to the open seas, though. He's gotten away from the bass fishing.
No, you're right.
One of my favorite tennis stories of all time. Watched him lose a match at the Savannah Challenger one time, destroyed his racket, went to his car, dropped the rackets in the trunk, immediately pulled out a fishing pole, first cast, caught a bass. I watched the entire thing happen from the end of the match into the finish.
That's way too good. Good body jammer there from Taylor. Yeah, you get Tommy and Ryan together, there's not a lot of talk about tennis.
Yeah, I bet.
Boats, reels, rods.
Has Tommy caught that tarpon yet?
They caught a wahoo about a week or so before he came out here. That was a big one for him. He was very happy. I don't think he's gotten the tarpon that he's been looking for yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to pretend that I know what any of that means. Taylor Fritz, comfortable hold there, gets us to 2-1 early in the first. What do you think about what's been the biggest point of emphasis for Taylor in his offseason here, Brent?
Yeah, I mean, I think Taylor, again, I go back to the fitness aspects. You know, I think that's where his biggest focus, and you know, I say this all the time, when you see guys make big jumps, and for Taylor to, you know, last year at one point, he was behind Tommy. Tommy passed him and was the #1 American for 2 weeks of the year last year. You know, we'll take that. It'd be nice to stay longer and everything, but at one point Taylor was outside the top 10. You know, he was, I think he was number 12 or 13 behind Tommy. And to go from that to number 4, you know, it's not a lot of numbers, but it's a lot of points and it's a lot of great tennis. And I think that the #1 thing that contributed to that was probably the fitness aspects, like I said before, you know, and his movement. I think Taylor still has room to improve in his game if he's willing to work at the aspects. He's so good at what he does And sometimes that's a good thing because you can be very singularly minded. He knows exactly how he wants to play the big points, but I do think that he can expand and become better at transition. I think he can be a better volleyer, and I think those things, you know, would have really benefited him in that U.S. Open final.
Yeah, it's another part of the scouting plan against Taylor Fritz. You make him volley if he does move forward. He just struggles at times finishing at the net.
Yeah, he's a little bit, he needs a little bit of a roadmap sometimes. He's a little out of position when he comes forward, and if you can get the ball down especially and make him have to pick up some tough volleys from off his shoe tops, he struggles with those balls. So that's the area of the court that he's the most uncomfortable with at this point.
That's great.
That's not there.
No.
Passing shots, the backhand side.
15-all.
He's a machine from over there.
Yeah, Brooksby also wanting to make sure today that he doesn't give Taylor Fritz 2 consecutive shots on either wing. Just wants to keep that variety, moving him side to side. That's well done.
Really well done. Interesting again.
30-15.
First serve there wide, 146. The slowness of that ball actually made Taylor have to work to get way outside the court. Tough geometry from there, taking that return to that position, the cross-court backhand. Not easy, but easier to play that geometry than it is to try and take a forehand up the line from that position.
He's gotten a couple free points off of that interesting look of a serve.
Yeah.
(40-30).
Jenson certainly doesn't look uncomfortable so far. Looks very comfortable playing off the ground, doing what got him to where he was before he had to step away from the game for a while.
Game Brooksby.
Yeah, an interesting discussion point as well. It was
2 games on.
a suspension for missing drug testing, and that suspension did get cut short last year. It was an interesting part of the article about his autism, that there was new information that was provided, but not an explanation of what that new information was. You kind of anticipate that it was his autism and just the idea of some of the issues that he had and the challenges that he's dealt with.
Yeah, it was for people that don't understand that the players have to notify and give their whereabouts on a full-time basis.
For an hour per day, right?
Yeah, an hour per day. Random drug testing can happen anytime during that window that they can pick the hour that they want to do it from. And if you miss those, you get a strike. And 3 strikes leads to a suspension. And Jenson had 3 strikes, which was, you know, an odd situation, to be honest. Like everybody that's involved in the game would look at that and, you know, how do you get 3 strikes?
Right.
You know when you have 1 strike. You know when you have 2 strikes. You can't afford a 3rd strike. And, you know,
The
question was if maybe he felt like he wasn't playing, he didn't need to do it, he did, whatever it was. It just seems odd that you would have those 3 strikes that occurred, and then the suspension came about, and then it was reduced after an appeal.
Taylor Fritz settling in, comfortable hold once again. Gets us to 3-2. We are midway through this first set. Listen, you're kind of judging Jenson here a little bit differently, I think you'd say, but 5 winners, 3 unforced errors. Pretty decent start for him. Hasn't felt a lot of pressure on that serve yet either.
Yeah, early going, but he's come out and I mean he looks extremely good right now. You know, and that was the cornerstone of Jenson's game was, like I said before, counter punching and those ground strokes and his movement around the court. And he's very, very good at putting balls back in play and making the guys have to hit another ball and another ball and another ball. And that's where it's interesting sometimes. It's kind of like his neutral kind of tennis, his defensive tennis.
Time.
He matches up against someone like Taylor who plays a lot of offensive tennis. Can your offense outdo my defense in the course of what we're doing out here on the court?
I'm interested to see if Taylor Fritz adapts a little bit here in terms of maybe return position, stepping in just a little bit. With this pace drop off from Jenson Brooksby to serve here at 2-3 from the far side of the court. Kudos to his sponsors for sticking with him over the last couple of years as well.
Great shot making from Jenson Brooksby. I'm interested, just as you said, Mike, especially on the first serve here. You would think on the second serve, but on the first serve, I'm surprised at how deep Taylor's standing, given the pace that Jenson's. I feel like he should almost be treating first serves as if they're second serves.
Agreed. To be fair, it's still pretty early, right?
Absolutely.
And an ace for Brooksby here. And I'm sure Taylor's going to be going through some adjustments here in these first couple of games. He and Mike Russell will work together, I think, to solve it here.
Good ball striking from Taylor.
30-15.
Mike Russell looking like he parked his helicopter somewhere.
Does he have a helicopter sponsorship as well?
He could. You never know.
Really good ball out of Taylor Fritz, dug well out of the corner, and here is a little bit of a test for Jenson Brooksby at 30 all.
First time he's been in a little pressure here. That was a perfect point example of Brooksby counterpunching, 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 and then what he doesn't overpower you with pace, but he plays those aggressive patterns where he likes to take the backhand down the line. He likes to take the forehand up the line, especially on the run on the forehand side. Taylor up to the task there with a good pass, though.
So here is the first break chance of the day. 152 on that first serve, Brad. And again, listen, so good as a counterpuncher, but that's just going to be a real struggle as Fritz steps forward more and more.
Absolutely. That's a second serve. That's a second serve in men's tennis. He's hit a couple here. He hit one at 178, one at 177. Those have been his biggest serves so far through these first service games.
Yeah, so there's your break. And again, the second serve, the ability for Fritz to start the point inside the baseline and really start to dictate pretty well. He's got the break to 4-2.
Yeah, absolutely. That's going to be a cornerstone of this match for Taylor. He's got to keep jumping on those returns. Second serve especially, but again, as we're saying, I mean, I think as the match goes on and he gets a little bit more comfortable, we're going to see him stand in and take a few more of those first serves. If they continue to come in the 140s, the 150s, he's going to start attacking those like they're a second serve.
Yeah, right now the return position staying about 6 feet,
yeah,
2 meters plus back behind the baseline. I do anticipate that moving forward.
Absolutely. For me, a little bit deep given the pace of those. And if Jenson does come in with the 170, 178, whatever it is, I mean, it's still not that fast.
Love.
Yeah, it'd be one thing if we're just playing ground stroke points.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, you feel like it's a bit of a 50-50 in that regard.
Yeah.
Close to it.
Ground stroke games, I've got to imagine Jenson Brooksby's a tough out. He's a tough out as it is.
Yeah,
so,
top ranked,
so
top 10 there.
But the serve is it's always been a challenge for him. Even when he was playing his best tennis and was on the tour on a regular basis a couple years ago, the serve was an area that he struggled with a little bit. It's basically
30-15.
You know, if and when he gets a free point off the serve, you know, it's just a bonus. It's some icing on the cake for him, because in general he's basically starting the point with the serve.
Oh.
That's a pattern right there that Taylor's comfortable with also. They both are, you know, but matching up Taylor, I guarantee you, I've been around him enough, you know, he's one of Tommy's best friends. Taylor feels that backhand to backhand, he can match up and stay with anybody, absolutely anybody. And at this point, obviously, at 4 in the world, he's proven that. So Jenson has that tendency to stay in that exchange as well. Comfort zone from Taylor is going to be very high on that.
Game, Fritz.
Consolidates very comfortably with an ace. 5-2 into the ball change.
By 5 games to 2.
Yeah, so listen, 2 consecutive moments here where Taylor Fritz has just been able to dictate on his serve. 3 points lost on serve. Meanwhile, we're just seeing the length and the time it's taking Brooksby to construct his points on his serve, and that's the story at this stage.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. In men's tennis, that's the story a lot of the time. You know, it's serve and return. Those are 2 of the biggest keys that you can actually look at. Can you serve big enough to keep the other guy off balance and not be able to put pressure on you on your service games? And as a returner, can you neutralize the guy's serve and put pressure on him from the standpoint of your return games and continue to do that? With Jenson, he almost gives you that opportunity to put pressure on him. As I said before, he's so good with the countering on the first ball, and that's what keeps him in the matches and gives him an opportunity to win. But Taylor's one of the best and biggest and most aggressive returners there is against everybody, much less a guy that's going to kind of roll the ball into play and let him take a rip at it every time.
On top of it, his second serve has improved quite a bit over the last couple of years. He's winning about 7 to 8% more points on that second serve than he was, say, 3-4 years ago. Just always impressed with some of these players who they just continue to find ways to improve year after year after year. 27 years of age now. Out of Rancho Santa Fe, more in the Southern California area. Brooksby from up in Northern California serves at 2-5. don't think you had backhand slice on the bingo card today from Taylor Fritz.
That was a rare backhand slice from Taylor. Not necessarily required from that position. He doesn't use that play very often. And that was interesting. And then elicited an error as well. Change of pace.
Jenson spent a lot of the offseason training with Ben Shelton in Florida. Again, really feisty stuff out of Jenson Brooksby. You knew if Fritz did move forward, hasn't moved forward all that often, just the second time here. But the idea of making him volley in those key moments.
Yeah, you have to. I was still trying that last serve, which is still up on the board, 129 Ks. For we Americans, that's 80 miles an hour. That's an extremely slow serve for the men's tour. Taylor laid into that one.
And as good as Brooksby is digging out, it just kind of has that cumulative effect, and it's hard to consistently do.
Sure, and whether he makes an error on that one trying to fight that off, but even if he doesn't make an error on that the next ball is going to be another ball that Taylor's absolutely going to be able to jump on. And with a break in hand here, we're starting to see Taylor even getting a little bit more aggressive on that return. He jumped on that one.
Yeah, he's going to take some risk, and that one not risky at all, just clean as could be, and 2 set points for Taylor Fritz.
Jenson trying to change direction on that ball that was really deep through the court. Made the change, but there just wasn't much on it. Sat up right in Taylor's wheelhouse.
Yeah, again, just an aggressive return out of Taylor Fritz. Ran away with the first set, 6-2. Brooksby left shaking his head here after the first at Cain Arena. And that's why I think it was so unlucky that Jenson did get ill last week. We didn't get to play that event in Canberra and just really kind of get his legs underneath him, just kind of work out some of the mechanics on that serve in match
Third Taylor.
3 straight games with an ace. Taylor's won 15 of his last 16 Grand Slam matches after taking the first set. The one being that tough loss to Musetti.
Taylor.
Again, hold to love, has only lost, as I said, 3 points on serve so far. And yeah, the average first serve speed, right? It is just such a drastic difference between these two. Yeah, it's pretty remarkable, Brad.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised we're looking at it. Taylor averaging 119 miles an hour, Jenson averaging 105 miles an hour. I've always kind of said that at the tour level, we see it pop up here on the screen. At the tour level, I think the minimum that you want to be at is around 115, 110 to 115. If you're a good spot server and you can find the corners, you can get away with 110. 105 miles an hour as an average. It's going to be tough against virtually anybody that you're playing. You're going to be under pressure consistently on your serve with that kind of a pace on your serve.
And his biggest is 112.
Yeah, that's so. Like I said, if he's hitting 112 on a regular basis, he's probably okay.
15 love.
But being in that average area of 105 and having 112 be your biggest serve, it's gonna be tough.
Sarah Irani situation, right? I mean, that idea with the serve being just a point starter at best.
Yeah. There's a
30 love.
again not a lot of pace there, 157, but found the line, the outside of the line.
Yeah, so it's going to have to be just really spot serving to very, very specific spots.
Yeah, he needs a scope. He's got to really hit the targets.
With that said, we have to also take in mind this is match 1.
Yeah.
After 2 years off. So while it might sound like we're being quite harsh here, we also know that it takes time to really build the legs into match play, to build the shoulder into match play.
Yeah. There's no doubt about it.
We'll get away from Jenson Brooksby, and Fritz has another glimpse here at 30 all.
You know what's interesting is that this is a concept from a good friend of mine, Stephen Amitrage, who's been very involved in the game. You know, and he talks all the time about one of your objectives, and this is exactly what Taylor's doing, is to get through your service games easily and then turn the other guy's service game into a ground stroke game. And Taylor's able to do that on virtually every point with Jenson. He turns Jenson's service games into a baseline game.
Yeah, and it's going to be another break chance for Fritz, who's had opportunities in 3 straight games, 2 for 2 so far.
Taylor's just settling in and getting very comfortable right now. Those first couple games of the first set, Jenson was pretty good off the ground, and Taylor was kind of probing a little bit, trying to figure out where things were going to go. Jenson got through those games, but since that point, he looks like he's in his easy chair at home.
Game.
Just pushed wide to love, makes it 6 games on the trot here for Fritz, and it's not an easy chair. He's in a computer chair with. He's going to be definitely playing League of Legends. That's going to be on TikTok later or IG, one of the two. I don't know which one.
Yeah, it's he's got his headphones on and all the latest technology.
I've watched some of his gaming streams on Twitch.
How many screens in front of him?
Probably 3.
I think Taylor's actually doing a better job now than he was early, also of finding the depth and the width in the court. He's playing primarily from the center of the court and working Jenson around. Jenson trying to be a little creative there and not being able to execute. Good aggressive return from Jenson that time. Standing in, took that a little bit inside the baseline.
Yeah, and the body return obviously so incredibly effective if the courts do play pretty quick and can skid through.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's also interesting, you look at the pace on Taylor's second serve. He's at 170. That's almost Jenson's biggest serve in the match.
Right.
On a first serve. Good job by Taylor there. You're going to have a hard time if you're forced to chip forehand after forehand. Give Taylor time on those balls.
$40-15.
203. All person just going to be thinking about that one.
Yeah. The Aussies love a good catch on a,
they really do.
They get so excited.
You saw it last night a few times in the Tommy Paul O'Connell match.
It's that cricket mentality we know.
Left first serve.
Court awareness to see that was coming, but just unable to execute. And Fritz once again comfortably to 3-love. That's not really a surprising stat, is it, Brett? 7 pressure points to 1, and again, just the ability to have played pressure points even in the last couple of weeks for Fritz are going to pay off in those moments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Taylor's got some matches under his belt. He started the year really well. You know,
time.
Full off season. He's a little bit battle hardened already here at this point early in January, and Jenson has 0 matches under his belt coming in. You know, we knew that Taylor has a little bit more firepower in general. I mean, even if Jenson was playing his very best tennis, you're still being asked a lot of questions from the ground strokes and the returns of Taylor Fritz. So with him not being very battle hardened at this point, you know, we're seeing the result from that, and Taylor's just going to continue to get more comfortable here, and I think that Jenson, as we saw there in that last game, is going to start to press a little bit and looking for some ways to try and win some points.
Jenson serving here, love 3. Reading an article, Ben Rothenberg published a piece today about Taylor Fritz and just how he has maintained that presence up at the top of U.S. tennis on the men's side for the last couple of years. It was really interesting, and you know him better than I, but Riley Opelka saying he's totally delusionally optimistic.
I think that's a great I think that's a great description of Taylor. You know, I mean, I think when Taylor first came out on tour, I mean, some people when you're first around him would have described him potentially as a bit cocky.
Mm-hmm.
But point by far. That was worth the price of admission. And you know what? That's a great example right there. At 6-2-3 love, Taylor could have let that point go, no problem. Mm-hmm. But he absolutely refuses to. That shows you the competitiveness of Taylor Fritz. Going back to my comment, you know, I mean, you might have described him as being a little bit cocky. You can't describe him as cocky because he's backed up everything that he's ever expressed about his own belief in himself. And so I think Riley's exactly right. You know, he's delusionally optimistic, but he's been able to produce. So that optimism, I think, is something that works to his benefit. He walks on the court believing, and he did this, you know, right now, obviously at 4 in the world, he should. But 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he was working his way towards this kind of a position, Taylor walked on every match that he ever played against anybody he played with the attitude that if he could produce his best tennis, he's got a very, very, very good chance of winning. Didn't matter who he was playing.
And put in the work off the court to really get to that point where it was really paying off and showing in those big matches.
Absolutely. And he's always been, I mean, even you go back to the challengers like you were talking about, and, you know, he's always been a really great ball striker.
Yes.
And he's just a clean ball striker and always has been.
Goes around the post, does Taylor Fritz. That's a very thin area to hit through in between the post and the chair.
Watch this shot here. We need the other angle so we can see that where that crossed. I was going to say crossed the net. It didn't cross the net. It kind of went past the net. This game's been extremely entertaining so far, but Taylor still with pressure on Brooksby here to try and get through and get a hold.
It's going to get away from him, and so might this game, nothing going right now for Jenson Brooksby. Ryan Williams trying to stay positive here as best he can. But Fritz is 3 for 3 on his break chances so far. Crucial serve +1 there.
Yeah, I mean, you bring up, as you mentioned that, Mike, you know, it's, again, that's a cornerstone of men's tennis is serve +1. And with the pace that Jenson's serving at, he's not getting a lot of opportunities to play serve +1. It's more like serve and defend.
He's only got 2 of them here on the day.
Advantage, Brooksby.
That is the first double of this match.
Constant pressure and fear of Taylor jumping on those second serves is going to lead to that to some degree or another. Jenson's done a good job to only have that be the first double so far. I'd be shaking in my shoes hitting second serves out there. Can you spell Duncan as in yo-yo? I don't know if they have Duncan yo-yos here in Australia. It's the best
yo-yo still a thing?
It's the best yo-yo made in the United States.
Oh, really?
Of course they're still a thing, Mike.
Why?
You have a daughter. You've
I
never
do.
gotten her a yo-yo?
No.
What a bad dad.
That's beside the point.
My point is Taylor's just pushing Jenson around from corner to corner there. Toying with him a little bit. Shopping at FAO Schwartz.
We're going to update some of your references, I think.
FAO Schwartz is still a great toy store. What are you talking about? Oh, no.
Second double here for Jenson Brooksby for love.
Fritz leads by
8 straight games.
This has turned into absolute domination right now for Taylor.
Yeah.
If you're in the Brooksby camp right now, if you're Ryan Williams or if you're Jenson, you've got to just try and find the rhythm, right the ship a little bit. Try and get yourself to the point where you're competing and keeping yourself as close as you possibly can. Start working towards the third set a little bit.
Seats quickly, please. Ladies and gentlemen, players are ready. Thank you.
I thought we weren't worried about the people that were in that row of the stands. Is that true or not, Mike?
Yeah, it's just if it's in the sight line that you can ask for that pause.
Yeah, behind the court.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, finally getting a little bit of frustration there for Jenson Brooksby, but I think you're right. You know, we've talked a lot about Ryan Williams, Paul Kenny, the physio for Jenson. You know, he's wanting to just see how the legs responding right now later in this match. I mean, we're not at the hour mark, you know, but that's part of the process here as well, just building that muscle. Brooksby thought that had missed.
30,
so he's wanting to have a look at it.
The machine's infallible, Mike. Guarantee that's not going to be out.
I think Naomi Osaka had one that she was questioning late last night. You and I were both busy with Tommy's match.
Tommy questions the machine for sure now and then.
I rage against the machine.
That was a good one.
Well, Taylor Fritz is looking like a bull on parade. 5 love here in the second. Well, as Taylor Fritz makes some adjustments, probably has to. We've seen some absolutely extreme sprints from him here, fully stretched at times. And remarkably so, considering that scoreline.
Pretty amazing point. Each guy got lobbed, had to run back. Jenson with a tweener. Taylor didn't finish on the volley. Then he gets lobbed, runs back, and absolutely crushed a forehand going away. It's that tweener. Hit a pretty good volley there.
Did.
Jenson covered it and then got that ball over Taylor's head. That was a forehand going away from the court. Taylor crushed that ball.
70 meters run on that electric point here, John Cain Arena. To the delight of the man who has no problem running 70 meters over and over and over again. I believe he just does stairs, though. in the hotel gyms, Michael Russell.
Yeah, he never lifts any weights.
Not one.
Just stairs. I think he's gone back, you know, pick on Mike a little bit.
Yeah, sure.
In a happy way, you know. I mean, I think he's gone back to wearing small shirts again. Either that or the arms are getting even bigger.
It's entirely possible. Size medium.
He used to wear smalls, and then he went to mediums for a while. And I think he felt you know, they weren't showing off the guns quite as well. I have a feeling he's back with the smalls.
Yeah, he's on camera more and more now.
Yeah, well,
you know,
Taylor puts him there.
Yes.
Or Mike puts Taylor there. One or the other.
Love 15.
3 doubles here in the last couple of games.
You know, Mike, I was a little disappointed that I wasn't really, but you know, Mike won Coach of the Year.
Right.
Well deserved.
Yes.
I voted for him.
Okay.
I was one of the 5 finalists. I voted for Mike. I'm pretty sure Mike voted for Mike. But the one that killed me was that Wolf, their physio, voted for Mike because he's a member of our Coaches Association, because I got him in the Coaches Association. He should have voted for me.
Oh, I'm glad to know that's not lingering with you.
I don't know how many votes Mike won by, but if it was 3, I'm upset.
Okay. Do you want me to do some fact checking and see if I can dig up
I'm guessing it was way more than that. Trust me, he deserved it.
Yeah.
Taylor had a phenomenal year and a phenomenal finish to the year.
I think it just means that you have to work that little bit harder this year.
Yeah, exactly. I got to get a pair of those glasses.
You might have to put some time in the gym.
Oh. 15-13.
Taylor missing the big return there and still up in this game.
He's won 13 of 18 second serve return points, has Fritz.
Yeah, the stats are building.
Yeah, just so comfortable, right, to take chances, and has built himself into this spot where he grabs 2 set points. Just an incredible combination, and Taylor Fritz serves up a bagel.
By 6 games.
Pretty dominant second set away from the second round.
By 2 sets to love.
To this stage of his career, come back from 2 sets to love down. It is hard to imagine it here. But yeah, you want to see a little bit more when he does have that opportunity on a second serve. You want to make sure that serve percentage is up. You want to kind of take care of some of the basics and compete well in this 3rd set.
He did try to go a little deeper there on that second. He just mishit it and hung it up in the court.
But this feels, at this stage, for Taylor Fritz, like it's a little bit of a practice match.
Oh, absolutely. And Jenson, even after 2 points here, his body language is not looking great. He's looking a bit dejected, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Absolutely understandable at this point. But, yeah, Taylor looks, again, he couldn't be much more comfortable out there. He's had absolutely no pressure on his service games.
And it's really hard emotionally, I'm sure, for Jenson. He's been looking forward to this moment for so long, and obviously just bad luck drawing Taylor Fritz in the 1st round. Bad luck not getting a match under his belt in Canberra with the illness there. sure for him, you know, he and his team, family, they're all going to try to focus on the positives that he's back out there competing, knowing him and how competitive he is. That's going to be hard to take. But this is going to be a learning moment for him here for the next 6 months to build on.
Absolutely. He's going to keep having to see where he's at. Every single match for him right now is going to be a little bit of a test to see where he's at.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you know, just clicks in my head a little bit, Mike. You know, the post-match yesterday with Stefanos Tsitsipas talking about how big the game's gotten.
Yes.
Jenson's been away from the game for 2 years.
Yes.
And the game has gotten bigger. And Taylor is one of the biggest ball strikers out there.
Yeah, especially so. I know Tsitsipas was specifically talking about the serve against Alex Mickelson, who for many years was thought of as a little Jenson Brooksby. He had the same issues. The serve wasn't there. The forehand wasn't where it needed to be. He made those improvements, much like Jenson did a couple years before him. Yeah,
it was those comments from Stefanos were interesting, just because you know, Tommy's played Alex a couple times. Alex, a heck of a player.
Yes,
but I wouldn't describe him as being one of the biggest ball strikers on the tour.
No.
So if Stefanos was feeling like that against Mickelson, and you know, put him out on a court against some of the other guys that you would say are the best and biggest ball strikers. Jenson's having that experience right now, and with virtually no real preparation under his belt as far as competition goes.
That's an important moment as well. That kind of man-up moment, right? I'm going to go backhand to backhand, test it.
Yeah, that's one of the. He chose not to change direction in that point. He allowed Taylor to change direction a couple times. He's been looking to change direction earlier in the rallies, and it's actually been hurting him a little bit.
Yeah, that was part of the game plan, to make sure that Fritz did not get comfortable in one particular spot.
On.
I think Paul Kenny's thinking right now about the Cubs off-season moves. Big Chicago Cubs fan. Hear it from Taylor, as that one got away from him. Again, looking for that opportunity to pull Taylor Fritz side to side, the backhand breaking down, and it just must hold here.
He got a little geometry advantage there. Taylor played defense from the backhand corner into Jenson's forehand. Jenson able to turn that forehand cross court and put Taylor on the run, but forced him into a slice forehand to defend, but then he just couldn't hurt him again on the next ball. That's a little bit of a gift from Fritzy on that one. Jenson put under stress there, having to go to the squash shot back to back. That's gotten him in trouble throughout the match, really, but got away with one there.
Yeah, just 2 unforced errors very simply here out of Taylor Fritz, allowing Jenson Brooksby to grab a game point. It's been quite some time since that's occurred. One
New balls, please.
ends the streak at 11 straight games, and Jenson Brooksby does hear from this crowd. Taylor Fritz, also a very firm believer, Brad Stein, in the curse of the bagel.
That is so true. That's a good one, Mike, that you bring that up. Yeah, Taylor, Riley, Tommy, they have this interesting belief that if you win a set 6-0, you lose the next set. I'm going to bet against that in this match.
But you and I both know that Taylor was thinking about that at some point over the last 6 or 7 minutes.
You are absolutely right. There's no doubt whatsoever. He's got to break his own curse.
Yes,
I think he's the one that came up with that originally, and then Tommy and Riley and Foe and the rest of the American guys picked up on it.
What I do think has been pretty remarkable, and listen, you know how much drama and pettiness there is in the locker rooms at times. I know, shocking. The fact that those 4 guys have maintained those friendships that developed when they were 12, 13, 14, and now 13, 14 years later, it is pretty remarkable that nobody's had really any issues with each other over that time.
Oh, they've had issues.
Oh, I'm sure they've had little issues.
They've definitely had some issues now and then, but they just get past it.
Yeah.
You know, I give those guys credit. The big 4 of American tennis in this generation, Taylor, Tommy, Riley, and Francis. You're absolutely right. They get along extremely well. They're really, honestly good buddies. They love hanging out together.
Bye-bye.
They genuinely support each other in their successes and want to see each other do well. And beyond that, I think they've done a really good job of mentorship with the next generations of guys.
Agreed.
I think they've done a very good job with Ben and with Alex Mickelson, and now they've.
Oh, got it.
There's a little offense from Jenson. They've
40-15.
Now they're learning a whole new group as well, and I know that I heard them talking about them. They're just starting to get to know Nishesh and Lerner and Ethan Quinn, who's coming along a little bit, and some of the other guys. And I think that's important for American tennis. That they've reached out and had that mentorship with those younger guys.
Right now, the veteran pushing around the youngster. It's 2-1 here in the third. Was wondering when we were going to get an Ethan Quinn mention out of you here today. Another Northern California boy.
Northern California boy. Brian Garber doing a heck of a job coaching that guy.
Yes, he is.
Well, Taylor Fritz leads
just a ton of weaponry with Ethan Quinn as we look at just this fan base around American tennis. I think there's so much expectation. We saw it with Nishesh last night stealing a set from Novak, somebody he's idolized for so long, and that was really cool. Lerner Tien is in action right now. We're going to get another post. How much do you think she gets paid per post right now?
Good prediction.
I'm not going there. Whatever it is, it's crazy.
It's remarkable. I don't understand influencer culture in any way, shape, or form, but it's remarkable how things have changed, hasn't it?
Why? Taylor's had this
the left foot issue?
Yeah, the left shoe off twice now.
Yep.
What do we think, John Cain Arena? Is it A, B, or C? All right, fellas, what's your answer? C. C is correct.
Could be a blister.
Possibly something. I don't know. He looked like he was straightening his sock out the first time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something, though, Mike, from what you were just mentioning is, I had this conversation a little bit this morning, just in texting with Brian Garber and Ethan Quinn, and talking about how many of these guys that you see on a regular basis from the challengers have been producing really impressive results here at this Australian Open. Guys coming through with either wins or playing very competitive matches. Obviously, Nishesh taking a set off Novak is really impressive, but it just goes to show you that the level of the challengers is very strong. Very, very strong. And those guys are translating that to good success here in Australia.
The depth now at the challenger level is better than it was even 10 years ago when these veterans, Fritz, Paul, Foe, Opelka, were coming through. There are just so few easy draws in the first round of a challenger nowadays. I mean, Lerner Tien is in action right now against Ugo Carabelli. Looks like he's going to split sets there. But he was dominant. He was one of the few guys. He only lost in the first or second round twice on the year.
That's impressive.
It is pretty impressive. 1 Futures, 1 U.S. Open.
Yeah, he and Nishesh were really the cream of the crop at the challenger level for this last 12 months. That's great moving right there by Taylor. The work, the shuffle steps to get to his left and find a forehand out of that ball.
That said, I do like the feistiness right now from Jenson Brooksby.
Yeah.
I know I don't feel like I'm very confident about it turning around here, but I like what he's showing in this third set.
.185 on that serve.
But the second has been the even bigger issue for him. And right now at 5 of 23 on the night, 0 for 4 today, 4 doubles. Definitely going to be a point of emphasis over the next couple of months.
Yeah, it has to be. Absolutely.
Souvenir.
It's a quality shank out of the court.
Could be better. Only to the second row.
I give it a 8 out of 10 on the shank meter.
Okay. I'm going to be much harsher critic. Only a 4 for me. Needs to get past that first bank of seats.
It went out of the playing area.
Need to get to row 3 before I'm going to go above a 5.
All right, your shank meter is definitely more stringent than mine.
Fritz didn't think that had cleared. But again, Brooksby is being a little bit more competitive here in this third set and finding that good linear tennis.
Yeah, when he was playing his best tennis, it's those kind of patterns with the change of directions up the lines where he did the majority of his damage.
Yes.
It's our scoring system. The scoring system in tennis is not helping Jenson necessarily a lot either. Gives Taylor a chance to just hang around in these games.
That's well done. Yeah, I mean, to that point, it's what right now? A total of 7 unreturned serves for Brooksby here. So every single game, he's having to really grind and work to get through them.
Absolutely. As I said earlier, it's Taylor literally turning Jenson's service games into baseline games.
Yes.
And you got to figure in a baseline game, you're, minimum 50-50. Taylor's probably more at like 65-35 or something to win the points once he's in a baseline type of rally.
And maybe that's different in June or July between these two.
Absolutely. Jenson hopefully getting a few more free points out of his serve, or the opportunity to play serve in one. That's just pummeled. And that's pummeled.
I think the return bigger than the serve.
These are, I mean, 124 Ks on a second serve. At this level, you're playing a top 5 player in the world. I mean, the ball's coming in with a big sign on it that says, "Hit me" for Taylor. And he's hitting it. He's going to rip that every time. It gives him time to get around. It gets him time to find his forehand. He can create a perfect and ideal position to really take a rip at those returns.
Yeah, it's well done. Fritz not happy with the quality of his return. You can hear him saying it as well.
That one was just a little bit short, gave Jenson time to set up and be able to hurt him there on that forehand. Just can't put him away, though.
Deuce.
The way Taylor's been playing and the way this situation has been playing out in general, you just don't want to let him hang around.
Yeah, you just keep giving him chances. He's going to find one. That will help for Jenson Brooksby. Gets another opportunity.
Advantage, Brooksby.
Jenson Brooksby finding his way through. Got a little vamos out of Ryan Williams to boot. It's 2-all. Maybe that purse of the bagel will pay off here.
The crowd pushing him as well. Crowd wants to see a little bit more competitive tennis. Taylor opted on that overhead to go right down the middle of the court. Jenson was there. And just staying competitive in this set's going to be a bit of a victory for Jenson.
Yes.
If he can find a way to win it, that'll be fantastic. But if he can just remain competitive.
You think he's thinking about the bagel right now? Because I do.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep.
Wouldn't be surprised at all. After the match, he's probably going to tell Mike and Wolf, "It's so dumb of me to win that set 6-0.
Should have given away one.
Yeah.
How full of a believer is Tommy?
15-all.
He talks about it, but I don't think he's a big believer, to be honest.
Yeah, not surprising. That's that 13-3 on the forehand winners here today. Total winners, in fact, Brooksby with 13 overall compared to Taylor's 13 forehand winners.
That's big
30-15.
and deep. Taking time away from Jenson there.
And the fact that Fritz, again, just not really being pushed all that often in his own service games, you just feel like it's going to come and allow for a break at some point very quickly here. Game points for him. Slider does the trick. 3-2. We're midway through this third.
Fritz leads by 3-2.
Start to potentially look ahead as well. Winner of this one gets the winner of the match that's currently on the party court. Court number 6. Christian Garin about to take a 2-1 lead. Bona Choric. Two guys with top 20 credentials. Christian Garin having to go through qualies here this year. Be a good test.
Always competitive, Garin. He's had some struggles over the last 12 months, just finding and producing the kind of tennis that got him into the top 20.
He's played a few too many hardcourt events, in my opinion.
His best surface was definitely the clay.
Yeah.
Time.
Not sure. I feel like he's just been kind of searching a little bit for some consistency and some rhythms. Changed coaches a couple times, that's what you do, Mike. Get rid of the coach.
Mm-hmm. You guys are worthless.
Exactly.
I've been saying that for years.
I tell myself that sometimes.
Mike Russell has a little bit of leeway, however, with the Coach of the Year honors. I think he's safe for this season. It's Jenson Brooksby coming to the near side. New shirt goes on. Serving at 2-3.
Love 15.
Same thing as we've seen throughout this one. Big return into the body. And Brooksby just having to dig out consistently.
You really feel like you said before, Mike, that if Taylor really locks in here in this game. Yeah.
Love 13.
Got a little bit of a sarcastic thumbs up from Jenson towards his team. And listen, I go back to it. Yeah, he has looked forward to this for so long. And for this to be the score line is got to be so incredibly tough.
Yeah, tough for him to swallow, I'm sure.
Yeah.
It's a gift from Taylor.
15-13.
Yeah, that thumbs up. I'm never quite sure. Is that you think that was based on, he served the last serve into Taylor's forehand, and Taylor absolutely crushed that ball. But I think it really matters where he serves the second serve.
Right.
It's like, do we think Ryan said, you got to go with the forehand on the second serve that you're hitting at 126 kilometers? It's not going to make any difference.
So Fritz going to have a couple of break chances. I know that their serve target was going to often be body against Fritz, as it often is. Just so he can't use those arms. But again, with that lack of pace, that's a tough target. And
tough to find anybody's body when you're serving 80 miles an hour on second serve.
Right.
It just gives the player too much time to clear space and find a comfortable swing. Break opportunities here.
Game Fritz.
4-2.
Fritz leads.
And now that finish line in sight. Although you might argue it's been in sight for a little bit of time here.
You could make that argument, but once you get this break with Jenson, just hasn't been able to create any pressure on Taylor's serve whatsoever.
Yeah, no break chances here on the day.
See Jenson also, see him there holding his wrist a little bit, slapped the wrist like it was the wrist's fault. You wonder if he's feeling a little bit of pain and or stiffness, whatever it might be.
And that idea is has he had to make mechanical changes?
Yeah.
Because of it.
Well, we've seen he's definitely made changes in the serve. There's no doubt about it. He never started with the arm up before like that. The forehand and the backhand to me look the same as they've always looked, but that doesn't mean that when he's striking the ball that it doesn't necessarily feel a little bit different to him.
Right.
You know, it's from our vantage point, it looks very similar, but maybe he feels he's not breaking the wrist quite as much. Maybe he's not quite as loose as he would normally be.
Rather aggressive second serve there.
Yeah, it was. That's called feeling a sense of freedom. Get to the chopper, Mike.
Somebody's going to put together a clip of all the times you've taken some shots at Mike through this match, and I want to be there when it gets revealed.
It's only because I'm jealous.
Yeah. You guys both have done some commentary over the last couple of years, and he'll have his...
He's killing it. Yeah, he'll nail me at the U.S. Open. They kicked me out, so...
Ultimately here in this third set, it's a lot been about just maintaining focus and seeing this through to the finish for Taylor.
Absolutely. The points that he's lost in this game have been a little bit loose.
That's a great return.
It's the first time at deuce.
Yes, it is.
First time at deuce in the entire match for him on Taylor's serve.
Can he generate his first break chance? Yes, he can. That backhand
advantage
laced. Break point number one for Jenson Brooksby.
Stepping up into that game a little bit.
Only took about an hour and a half to get here.
And Taylor just a little bit loose when he was in front in this game. Now a little bit of pressure for the first time.
Tough swing from back that far behind the baseline. Back to deuce.
serve. Advantage, Fritz. Wait, please, wait, please.
Unforced error count a little bit high here for Fritz in this one. 9 winners, 9 unforced errors in this set.
And the majority of those have come in this game.
Yes.
I think it's just like what you said before, Mike. You know, it's you get up to the point where Taylor was, and you relax a little bit mentally. He threw a couple of errors in there from 40-15 up.
Finishes right through the middle to grab another game point.
Advantage, Fritz.
First time playing a best-of-5 match since the U.S. Open. Finding that focus once again to get through 3. Would have been relatively quick sets. So he does fight through and get the hold. Game away from the second round here in Melbourne.
Fritz leads by 5 games to 2.
I had a friend once named Melbourne. Melbourne.
Yeah.
Did you just say Melbourne?
Nick McCarville told me I have to. I trust that guy.
I understand you've got a little bit of new merchandise on the top of your head. Now, how did you get that?
I asked Taylor Fritz when he was warming up for the headband.
That's very, very nice. And Taylor, he's
Wow.
signed it as well, hasn't he?
A Taylor Fritz
Now, you've been very
headband.
excitable here in the front row. Any advice for Taylor as he closes towards the finish line?
Yeah, just keep playing how you're playing. He's doing well.
Very good advice. Very, very good. Let's hear from John Taylor Arena. He's playing very, very well indeed in number 4 setting. If you could ask Taylor one question, what would it be?
Can you be my friend?
Oh,
Okay, yesterday.
it's his birthday yesterday. Let's keep it tennis related, Hayden. Put any tips on your forehand or anything like that?
No, you don't. Doesn't need anything.
Oh, very well put. Let's hear it for these 2 guys here on John Taylor Arena, everybody. Have a good third deal. Finish line here.
Time.
Well, Taylor Fritz 1 game away from advancing here. 5-2 in the third set. One of Taylor's good friends. They've been tight since they were 5 years of age. Looking quite dapper.
He's embraced the Aussie summer look.
Yeah, can't blame him. I find myself thinking about this game, Brad, much like if you've had a bad round of golf and you're on the 18th tee.
Happens
You
to me
just
a lot.
want one. You just want that one pure drive to finish.
Before you finish. I mean, it's, you know, obviously just practicing being competitive. It's
Yep.
important for Jenson to get a hold here.
Yes.
Make Taylor serve it out. You actually created a break point finally in the last game. So see if you can create that pressure again, but you got to get through this game.
And in the other side, right, you want for Taylor Fritz to be aggressive and get greedy and try to finish here in this moment.
Absolutely. Taylor and his team are thinking exactly that. You know, I don't want to have to serve this out. Let's just get through this game right here.
Yeah, they're learning moments at all points, right?
Continue to be the American human howitzer. Second serve coming. I'm guessing this is going to be a pretty aggressive return.
Shows what you
Tried.
know. That's why you're not coach of the year.
He tried. It was a little bit bigger on the second there. He probably got surprised. That was actually got him jammed. He tried to get around and find a forehand there. Jenson won the battle for once on the second serve versus the return.
First second serve point he's won here in the set, 1 of 10.
That's why I said for once. We've gotten glimpses.
Yeah,
that backhand right there. Taylor on the move. Big forehand through the court. Jenson on top of the baseline and just picks that ball up and redirects it cross court.
Yeah, he's forced a few errors as well.
Yeah, those are the glimpses of the Jenson Brooksby that we knew. And that's a glimpse of the Taylor Fritz that we're used to, and particularly in this match. That's been the story of the match right there.
100%. It's that body return. You just see Brooksby having to dig out his initial ground stroke at his ankles time after time after time. Again there. And just a really potent return +1, and we've seen it so many times here from Taylor Fritz, 2 points away.
Yeah, more return +1 than serve +1 when Jenson's been serving. Taylor just racking up the points. Jenson forced every single time to have to counter with something from pace, depth.
Advantage, Brooksby.
Jenson Brooksby having to go cricket there.
That's exactly that was my thought, Mike. That was my thought. That's pretty good for us Americans.
Yes.
He absolutely that looked absolutely like a little cricket swing.
Didn't we have a really good cricket performance about a year ago, the U.S. national team?
Really?
I think so. I feel like they did something positive
I can't confirm,
about a year ago.
I can't confirm or deny that.
Yeah, now I'm going to have to go to the Google machine.
Oh, Mike, it just came to me. We beat Pakistan.
I think that's right.
Or maybe someone whispered that in my ear.
Yeah, well done. Rare trip to the net there for Jenson Brooksby, paying off with a game point.
Advantage, Brooksby.
Have you been to a live cricket match?
No.
If you can call it live.
No, I've been to AFL here at
That's-
MCG just across the way.
That's fun.
Yes, it is. Caught a ball.
What?
Yeah.
Did the crowd go crazy?
No, there was nobody there. It was the two last place teams. Well, the drop shot lob combination not quite paying off. Fritz seems quite eager to finish right now.
As he should be. I don't like that court position from Jenson at times. He's actually been trying to prowl the baseline a little bit too much, and that forehand he goes to and he did the little slide and had to basically poke a forehand back into the court because the ball's just getting on him too quickly. I think his spacing. That was well done, the forehand up the line. The overhead wasn't pretty, but at least it was a winner. But that point before, and that's been a common occurrence throughout the match, where he's he's actually taking time away from himself by being a little bit too close to the baseline. You're playing against one of the biggest ball strikers in the game. You've got to give a little bit of space to where you can create a full swing. Just too big.
Yeah. But yeah, so maybe he can get back to that point where he's prowling the baseline, but giving himself more time as he gets back into his professional career?
100%. I mean, for me, it's from a coaching standpoint. I mean, I want to have a guy take a line to the ball. If that means he has to go away from the baseline, that's all right, where he can still take and make a full swing on the ball. Having to go to that squash shot off the forehand side as much as he has throughout the match is not very beneficial against anyone at this level. You're just giving away too many opportunities to the opponent.
And right now just maybe doesn't have that top end speed for himself right now either to be able to get to those spots.
Yeah, that could be a part of it. You know, just getting his legs underneath him and feeling a little bit more comfortable playing at this pace. It also doesn't matter how many times, you know, as you mentioned, he spent a fair amount of the offseason practicing with Ben Shelton, who's a big ball striker. So maybe he's hitting the ball great, but the difference between practice and actually being out here on a match court.
Yeah, it's quite different.
Very different. Getting the legs to move and be in the right position and being able to do everything that you want to do. It's just not easy under pressure for the first match that you're back on court like this.
By 5-3.
So Jenson Brooksby does pure that drive on the 18th.
There you go.
At least gets it into the fairway.
For me, that's about 205 right down the middle.
I'm more around 160 with a 4-iron.
I want to play golf with you, Mike.
Make up for it in other areas, Brad. Fritz serving for the match here at 5-3.
All right.
Love 15.
12th unforced error of this set. Had 9 in the prior 2.
That's a good response after that error. Serving a match out like this, you get a little bit of self-imposed pressure. Jenson can add to that if you can make him play.
Left, first serve.
Caught the back of the line. Jenson Brooksby. Absolutely. Enjoy it.
Great shot.
15-13.
And as I was saying and speaking about before, he ran through that ball. He took his weight and his hips and was able to make a full swing, even though he was very deep in the court there. He was still able to make a full swing and do some damage.
This becomes a moment right here.
Yeah, second serve here. Look for Jenson. It's a little deep in the court. Got away with that chip forehand during that point. It got so deep, almost landed on the baseline, but that's the one I'd like to see him try and. He's got to eliminate that or at least reduce it to a bare minimum. He's got to find his footwork out to that ball to be able to hit the ball through the court a little bit more.
Which will come with time.
Yeah, I would think so. I would think so. It's going to increase for sure. Huge point here now.
That is pretty good. Jeez.
That was ideally short in the court, actually.
40-30.
We're going to assume Taylor was looking to create that angle.
Grabs a match point. He's got that.
Good stuff.
Above all else, the way he's competed in this third set that's Jenson. That's who he is.
Yeah, and that's what you wanted from him. That's what I was saying at the end. You know, as tough as the first 2 sets were, you know, the scoring system gives you an opportunity to start again, and he's done a great job in this third set.
His team right behind him, hopping to their feet. These two quiet and stoic.
Brooksby.
But it's a second break chance for Jenson Brooksby on the day.
He absolutely took advantage of that one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ooh. Just couldn't quite.
Cross-court backhand breaking the sideline before the baseline there, creating space.
Just a bit back. Yeah, some of the best returning we've seen from Brooksby.
Yeah, he needed to start down 2 sets to love in a break. Opened his game up.
Match point number 2. A fairly easy day at the office for Taylor Fritz. Moving through in straight sets, 2-love and 3 over Jenson Brooksby. Fritz with some really nice words there for Jenson. It's great to see him back on this big stage, but it's Fritz who's moving on into the second round here in Melbourne.
And please show your appreciation for Jenson Brooksby. I'm sure we'll be seeing Jenson next year at Australian Open 2026.
Yeah, 2 years away. Back out on court. I know he wants more for himself. We're going to have the opportunity here, and it's going to be interesting these next 6 to 9 months. I'm sure he's going to get some wild cards as well to kind of help build that ranking back with no ranking currently. And definitely some things to work on. We'll have to see how much of that serve can get back to a place where it's a little bit more effective. And that will be the question for him moving forward, if he can improve that to a point where he's not on the defensive immediately on every single service point.
Yeah, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what his schedule is from here on out, where he's going to go from here. He's going to, you know, he's got his PR. Protected ranking, so he's going to be able to get into some events here and there, but it's going to be interesting to see where he chooses to play. You want to be able to take advantage of the protected ranking playing in events where you can win matches. You got to, at some point it goes away, and you want to have created a ranking for yourself again that's going to help you out at that point.
I want to see him playing in as many challengers as possible right now, maybe even a futures or 2, just to get matches under his belt.
Yeah, absolutely. It might sound weird, but you need to learn how to win again.
Yes.
And that comes from playing at a level where you can be a little more competitive than he was today.
Yeah, and that's nothing about necessarily his average level. It's just at this stage, legs have to get stronger, arms have to get stronger, mind has to get stronger.
100%. And you're put out in this situation in a Grand Slam event playing a guy who's top 5 in the world. And that's a big ask at this point in his comeback.
Something tells me Taylor's going to have a couple of really nice words for Jenson as well. Certainly cognizant. Taylor, for being a man of few words, is pretty thoughtful and cognizant of what's happening around him.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously as another American player and someone who, I mean, when Jenson jumped out onto the tour, I mean, he was on fire when he first came out, and all the guys were talking about him. No one had really seen him very much, and he just exploded onto the tour and was beating really good players. And all the American guys, you know, knew that, and obviously everybody's been aware of the struggles that he's had now for the last couple of years. So you don't want that for anybody.
We'll definitely be seeing some more of Jenson over the next couple of months. Good to see him back on court. However, the day does indeed belong to Taylor Fritz. He's going to be joining us here for a post-match interview. Your winner here in straight sets. It's Taylor Fritz.
Well, Taylor, congratulations. What a super start to your Australian summer, winning the United Cup with Team USA, and now a straight sets victory here to start off AO 2025. What did you love about today, and what are you loving about Australia right now?
Yeah, loud. I'm super happy with how the match went today. I came out, it's never easy playing. I guess that first match in the slam, there's a bit of nerves, so I did a really good job of shaking off pretty early, just playing a really solid match and getting done in straights.
You've been described as the hardest worker on tour, and your coach Mikey Russell has described you as the biggest competitor he knows, but Riley Opelika just described you as being totally and delusionally optimistic. Which of those statements are true? So, hardest worker on tour, is that fair?
I mean, I think, you know, I work really hard, and I think a lot of that's shown in the way that I've been able to keep making improvements even, you know, later on towards the later stages, I guess, of my career. But what Riley said is also absolutely true.
What does he mean by that?
I think he just means I'm always super positive. I think, you know, optimistic. I'm delusionally optimistic to a point where things that shouldn't be possible, I still think, you know, I think I can do it. I think I can make things happen. I guess I'm playing tricks in my mind to believe things maybe that aren't realistic.
Does that mean that you're first out of your team to practice and that sort of thing? Do you bounce out of bed?
Sorry, what's that?
Does that mean you're the first out of your team to come to practice? Do you bounce out of bed?
No, not at all. Not at all. I think it's the way he's referring to it. I think it's more about just the belief I think I have in myself and the expectations I put on myself, and even when something's going bad, I still, you know, kind of put a positive spin on it.
You have a lot of Fritz fans here inside Cain Arena, but you do have one new super fan. You might remember him from this morning. 10-year-old Aiden is over there to your left. You gave him your headband. He was very, very vocal throughout the entirety of that match. I'm not sure he's going to be taking off that headband between now and before he goes to bed. He wants to know some advice. How does he become a top 5 player in the world?
I mean, a lot of really hard work. I think what I tell people all the time is there's not really any secrets. It's a lot of hard work, having fun with it, just loving to compete and loving to work.
And finally, he wants to know if he can come and watch you in your next match. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think we can do that. I think we can arrange that.
Fantastic stuff. Let's hear it once again for your winner, Taylor Fritz, and 10-year-old Aiden, everybody.
Well, hopefully he's able to, I guess, coaches.